Hi guys, Luke here from International TEFL Academy in Costa Rica, and today I just want to talk to you a little bit about border runs or visa runs. These are things that are experienced multiple times by most of the teachers in Costa Rica, and they are basically because most teachers will be working on a tourist visa instead of a working visa. Most schools don't want to go through the expense or the hassle of getting you a work visa, and so teachers will work on a tourist visa. It's very common. It's been going on for decades. Hundreds of teachers have done this. There's not a problem with it. What it means though is that you every 90 days will leave Costa Rica in order to renew your visa for another 90 days. So if you're in Costa Rica for 6 months, you probably only need to do one visa run. If you're in for longer, every 3 months, you'll go visit other countries, which I think is amazing. I have had great experiences on my visa runs, met some fantastic people, and seen and tasted foods, and just had some great memories, which is why we're teaching English, is to have these amazing experiences and memories. So go into your visa runs, that's my first tip, with the right type of mentality. Instead of saying, oh, I have to go on my visa run, say, nah, this is amazing. I get to go to see these fantastic places, and I get to tell my boss that I have to go on vacation, and he has to accept that I get to go on vacation. And then you can go see some great places. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about my top 5 places to go for your Costa Rican border. And these are in no particular order. I was thinking about ranking them, but it's too hard. I love them all. So I'm just going to put top 5, and you come down, do all 5, and then you can figure out which one you love best. So the first one is Bocas del Toro in Panama. It's on the Caribbean side of Panama. Very Rastafarian, very cool place. It's got not canals, but most of the transportation around the town is done by boat. You need to take a boat to get there in the first place. It's got dolphin tours, snorkeling. In fact, there's a floating restaurant there where you can eat and have a few beers, and when you finish that, just hop in the water. They'll give you masks, and there's tropical fish all around you as you're swimming and frolicking in that crystal clear water. And then you go back up, have a snack, and then an hour later, whatever, go back down. And you can do that as many times as you want. That's it. And you can hop to all the different islands. There's a whole bunch of islands around there. And also just renting a bike and just relax is the main philosophy in Bocas. You really unwind, and that's why it's hard to leave there, because it's so chilled and relaxed and just rejuvenates your batteries. So that's one of my favorite places for sure. It's gorgeous water, crystal clear. I love that island for sure. Next place on my list is Guatemala. That's a cheap flight. You're looking at about $120 return flight, an hour and a half flight. So it's super easy to get to. Once you get to the airport though, you will still have to get to the cool places. So you can expect another hour and a half or 2 or 3 hours depending on where you want to go. I love the lake, which is the furthest one. So after you land in Guatemala, you're still gonna get in a bus or a shuttle, and it's still gonna take you 3 hours to get to the lake. But once you're at this lake, it's fantastic. They have all these different towns around the lake, and each village, more a village than a town, has its own little identity. There's like the hippie village, then you have the more of the expat village, then you have the ones with just a lot of locals, and etc. etc. A fantastic place for exploring all the different towns. I stayed in San Pedro when I was there, which I highly recommend. Tuk-tuk cars, tuk-tuk or whatever they call, that'll take you up and around the village. Amazing food, super cheap. I loved Guatemala, and $125 return flight. A lot of people take buses to Nicaragua and Panama assuming that they can't afford to fly, but there are 3 great places on this list that are cheap return flights to and from. So Guatemala, put it on your list as an option. The next place is probably the most common, is to take a super cheap bus up to Nicaragua, where you can stay in Granada, which is a fantastic colonial town, or there's Ometepe, which is a really rustic, laid-back island in the middle of the lake with 2 volcanoes on that island. It's really gorgeous, really rustic. And then there's also a beach town called San Juan del Sur. Those are 3 very common options to go to Nicaragua. It's the cheapest way. Buses, like one way will be around $25, so it's really cheap. And yeah, I've been to Nicaragua probably 8-10 times. I love every single time I go up there. I like to switch it up. I like to check out the new places, but Grenada and Ometepe are my favorites. I love being there. Both of them have amazing things, and they're super cheap to get to. Another option that I just got back from, and I was super excited about it and loved it, is Mexico City, which is about a $200 return. And I was blown away by Mexico City. It's fantastic. You'll never do everything that is possible to do in that city. It's one of the largest cities in the world, population-wise, and I loved it. I was blown away by the beauty of it. I wasn't expecting to see. I knew that they had great culture, great food, but just the park and the architecture was fantastic. So I can't wait to get back to Mexico City. I'm already planning my next trip to get back there. Definitely an option for you guys, at $200 return. I love the fact also that once you get off the airport, you could take a metro into the center. I always love being able to take public transportation very easily from the airport into the city, because I'm super cheap, and that will cost you about 20 cents to get from the airport. And then the food is fantastic. The street food is delicious and cheap, and the atmosphere, having beers in cantinas, listening to the music. I mean, I love it. Like I said, I can't wait to get back to that place. So definitely put that on your radar also. And then the last one I'll mention, although I've never been there, but plenty of our grads have gone, is Cuba, and most of them have said amazing things about it. So I don't know, I can't say if it's worth it or not, but it's definitely, something it's an adventurous one for sure, because most Americans aren't allowed to go to Cuba, or I don't know the exact thing. I'm Canadian, so I can go, but I've heard that it's difficult for Americans, so you can brag to your friends telling them that you've been to Cuba. It's about $250 return depending on the time of year, but once you're in Cuba, everything is super cheap. So yeah, put that on your radar also. You can easily get there from Costa Rica. They won't stamp your passport. They'll put a little thing, paper in your passport, so that you don't have a problem with American immigration when you get back. And yeah, great culture, great music, food, etc. So another one. There's just plenty of places to go on your visa runs from Costa Rica. So I'm Luke, and I hope that this helped you planning your visa run, and I hope to see you down here in Costa Rica, teaching English, living the Pura Vida life.